Welcome back to the podcast. Today, Riley James, my nephew, and I are going to recap the Bear Bender 2025. Go ahead.
All right. Well, it's we left on May 16th and we just got back a couple days ago. So it's been, I think we spent about 2 weeks in Canada, a week in Alberta, a week in Saskatchewan. Two different outfitters. Came back with 4 bears.
How do you like being outfitted, Riley?
I don't know.
That's a first.
It was definitely new. Like just all these little things. Like I was watching a video we edited earlier, and just like going back and seeing them like hand me my bow, and just like those little things that it's just different. But it's not a bad thing at all. It's nice. It's just a different style of hunting, and a lot of people don't have time to do all the work to do. Like, I mean, we have the opportunity to do a lot of hunting on our own and not be outfitted, but a lot of people don't have time to put all that effort in, and they can instead rely on someone that they trust to outfit for them and still get it done.
Trust is earned.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been to Alberta before 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Great guy. He reached out, said, "Hey, would love for you to come up. I'm going to give you a free hunt. You just got to come up and film it for your YouTube." And I was like, okay. Anyways, that hunt was a bust.
Right.
7 days, 1 bear seen by me. And that's a long drive to go to Alberta, where it's like Mecca for black bear.
Yeah.
Like, they have so many black bears. Thank goodness that they have a generous 2-tag system and tons of outfitters throughout the entire province. Canada is cool.
Yeah.
I like Canada. I don't like Canada. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do know what you mean.
Some of their laws are crazy.
Yep.
Everyone has health care.
Yep. Crappy health care.
But they can't go to the doctor.
Yeah.
Because it takes 5 years to get any procedure done.
Yeah.
And our country has their own problems too. So I'm not just like, I understand. But no handguns. Like, do not try to bring a handgun across the border, y'all. Canada is not, they frown upon handguns. Everyone we talked to didn't even own one.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do, you have to keep it in a case, and you have to keep it in a case while you drive to the range, and then you can open it and you can shoot it at the range, and then you have to put it back in the case, and then it goes home in the safe.
Mm-hmm.
There's no concealed carries.
Yep.
What else did you learn about Canada?
I don't know. I feel like the people are very generous and kind for the most part, especially in the western provinces that we're in. The population centers are very different, but it was nice, kind of being out in the sticks away from those more interesting people in these cities.
Yeah, yeah. We got to drive through Banff.
Yeah.
Again.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Have you been to Banff before?
I haven't driven through it. I've just flown over it, so.
A little different view.
Yeah, I actually would say I like the view from the ground better. It's just you can see the magnitude of those mountains. And
saw a wolf on the side of the pavement running.
Yeah, that's pretty neat.
Pretty cool. Border crossing. Any hot tips for those going to Canada from the States?
Sunglasses off when you come up to the gate.
1.
No cameras out. Don't be filming.
2. Put it in park.
Yep. I don't know. That's pretty much it. If you have a firearm, you should probably be pretty clear and declare it and all that. And they were confused that we were hunting without firearms.
They always are. Have documentation of your contract or what you're doing if you're going on a bear hunt. Like just even an email correspondence showing that you have that. And then if you have fruit, tell them. If you have tobacco, tell them. If you're bringing guns, declare them. Like, just, don't hide anything, or you're going to end up getting searched.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't have any issues. It was an easy border crossing. Then we drove 973 miles.
Yep.
We were probably hour and a half from Northwest Territories.
Yep. Pretty much.
Pretty close to Yellowknife.
Yep.
We stopped about 2 hours shy of our final destination after driving for, I think, 14 or 15.
Mm-hmm.
You slept in the canvas cutter?
Yeah.
How was it?
Good. It's comfortable, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm. I did rooftop, and then we woke up, made coffee, shot our boats, and we arrived.
Mm-hmm.
Never met Darcy before, Darcy LeDrew. We're going to have a podcast with him so you guys can get to know him better. But he's just a dude who reached out very similar to the guy 2 years ago and was like, Dan, I want you to go bear hunting with me, eh? And I'm like, I don't know, man. And he's like, I'll be honest, it's a new area to me, but it hasn't been hunted in 15 years. I just got these tags. Only taking a couple guys this year. We're gonna have. I've already put out 15 baits. They're getting hit. It's a 2-bear area. There's some big ones. You're gonna see a lot of bears every day. And I was like, okay. I'm like, what about Riley? And he's like, Riley can hunt too. And I was like, okay, done deal. So, because it had been 10 years since you shot a bear.
Yeah, and I never shot with a bow. So that was the next step, was to shoot one archery, and the opportunity presented itself.
So it was a long drive, but we met Darcy and his dad, George.
Mm-hmm.
I love them.
Yeah.
Like straight up. Like
Great
after a week be with those guys, I would hang out with them again.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Pretty cool camp, like not a cabin, no running water, no electricity, wall tents. We threw out the peak shelter. Like we were backcountry, you know.
Mm-hmm.
No amenities. The nearest gas station, not town, but gas station, was probably 2 hours away. And it was just kind of like, all right, we're in the bush, as they call it in Canada.
Yeah.
We don't call it the bush in the States.
Yeah.
Is it just, I would just call the bush the woods.
That's what I would say, just the woods.
The muskeg woods.
Yeah. Swampland, marshland.
No ungulates really in the area that we were hunting. Like, you saw the only one in 7 days. You saw a moose one time.
Once.
I mean, no deer trails. I guess I saw some deer poop once.
Yeah, it's super sparse. And then I mean, from what he was saying, from my understanding, there's moose, there's very few whitetail, and then there's some like woodland caribou, and that's pretty much all that there is up there.
Yeah, I didn't see any caribou sign.
Yeah.
We heard wolves howling. I tried predator calling. That didn't work. They didn't come into that. Saw the Northern Lights once. Trying to think what else to set. Like, it's just picture flat as a pancake, muskeg, timber, green grass.
Mm-hmm.
Not a lot of roads. The only roads around are like a highway, and then like a couple of old oil roads, I would say.
And they're winter roads, so they're all super overgrown because they're just meant to be traversed in the winter when they're covered in snow and all the poplars are knocked down.
Yeah.
So nothing really super traversable.
Yeah, and just bears and beavers.
Yeah.
Lots of beavers. Beavers for days. Most beavers I've ever seen, I would say.
An abundance of them. Everywhere is just, there's ponds and ponds and ponds everywhere and lodges everywhere you look. And
yep. Now, Darcy texted me a picture of a really big bear right before we left. Said, what do you think of this one? And I was like, yeah, it's a giant. It's huge. Like, I don't know what else to say, but yeah, man, that's a giant. Try not to get excited. And then when we got there and we met everybody and kind of unpacked, and it was like, all right, let's go out tonight. You were dropped off. I don't know how far away from me, but like miles and miles from me. But yours was like a pretty easy get to, like a little bit longer drive in the truck, but a short, ride.
pretty short quad ride, yeah.
Yeah. And then I had an hour drive in the truck, and then I had an hour ride on the back of a 4-wheeler of Crazy Jimmy through bogs and crap. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so deep. Where are we going? And then finally we got there, and as soon as we got out, Jimmy got off first, and then I got off, and I looked down at my shoe. The biggest pile of bear crap I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And we're talking 3 Coca-Cola cans. And I'm like, oh, there is a big bear here. And so Jimmy started like freshen up the bait while I climbed up the tree stand, set up all my camera, swing arm, got ready. He drove off and had a pretty quiet night, honestly. Like, didn't see anything for hours. Mosquitoes were pretty bad. I had my thermocell running. It kind of got cold. It wasn't warm when we got there. And so I was like layering up. And then after about 4 hours, I thought I heard something running and crashing. And I looked over and I saw this bear running through the timber about 100 yards away, not towards me, like running for its life. You know, we've seen that, bears chasing bears.
Right.
And as soon as I saw that, I just was like, turn on all your cameras. So I turned on I had 2 action cameras and a DSLR. I got my bow in my hand and I spun around and I could look right behind the barrel and I could see that big old bear lumbering towards me. And I just like, it was a no brainer. It was a no doubter. It was like, okay, that's got to be the giant. That's a giant bear. That's the biggest bear I've ever seen with my own 2 eyes. And he came up to the bait behind the tree, behind the barrel, and the guy helping Darcy, I was named Jimmy. He's crazy. We could do a whole podcast on him, and we might have to. But he just kind of put a beaver on top of the barrel. And I didn't really realize it until I saw the bear sniffing the beaver, and I was like, oh my gosh, like you got to lock beavers up or they'll just take that beaver and run off. They love beaver, the high fat and the stink with that gland. He grabs the beaver and lays down behind the tree and just starts chomping. And when you film, you can kind of look at timestamps. I watched him crunch on the beaver for 8 minutes straight, laying down. And after 8 minutes, I apparently decided that, dude, I'm not going to wait anymore. I can easily shoot him, even though his head's behind the tree. Like, I got a shot. I'm going to shoot him laying down, which isn't ideal, as you know. And
right.
He had this cowlick that was like kind of middle of the middle, slightly towards the shoulder. And the only thing I didn't realize is that he was slightly quartering to me. I wish he was broadside. But I put one right in him using the new the Stan Solix clicker. It's an index, y'all. And what people don't know is that I do shoot a thumb barrel. I love the thumb barrel. It's too simple. It's awesome. But I was thinking like I wanted to go back to an index for elk this year just because I just feel like it's a little faster. The brake's a little faster.
Right.
It's attached to my wrist. And just things seem to happen so fast when you're elk hunting that I've had a couple instances where I've like been digging in my right pocket looking for my handheld while I have bulls staring right at me. And that's it. That's the only reason, just speed and convenience. As I'll explain in my next hunt, I go right back to the too simple. And I'll explain why I did that too. But anyways, we had been to the archery shop 2 days before we left. And I was kind of using the Scott XT, and then I was messing with the Carter Like Mike 2. And we shot the course, and then I was like, right, let me go see if they have that Stan Solix clicker in the shop. And they didn't. They were like, no, we only have the sample one. And I was like, okay, well, let me try the sample one. And I shot it. And I think I put 3 arrows in the indoor range in the X of a Vegas face.
Well, you blew a vein off.
And I blew a vein off.
Yeah.
I'm like, holy shit, I just stacked 3 arrows in a dime at 20 yards. First time using this clicker. So I was like telling Justin, I'm like, man, go upstairs in your unorganized shop / warehouse, because that's what it is, and just snoop around. And he did, and he found a whole box of Solix clickers and brought me down 2. And I was like, okay, here's the deal, Justin. I need you to take these out of the package and make them exactly, like duplicate them exactly like this, like demo version you guys have.
Right.
And you notice I bought 2 because 2 is 1 when it comes to release aids. So sure enough, he rips them open, gets them set up, measures them, gets them exactly perfect, duplicate to that. And then I think we went outside and I shot a couple more arrows and I'm like, Riley, I'm killing a bear with this release. So that's like a little back story. And so this bear, like when I shot him, I remember getting on the trigger. It goes click. I liked that sound. I was like, okay, I'm really close. And then I just did a quick little glance at my bubble. It needed to be adjusted just slightly. Kept pulling. Pull that wrist through the strap. Break. And it hit him hard.
Mm-hmm.
And the bear stands up and kind of like doesn't even know he's hit. It was crazy. And he doesn't run off, which I've never had before. And I'm like, okay, what do? I guess I better grab another arrow. So I grab another arrow, and he walks just a couple more yards and just standing there. And I'm like, oh my gosh, did I miss? No, I didn't miss. I saw the arrow disappear in him. Did I hit something like a non-vital? I don't know. And then so I drew back, and he starts lumbering away, walking slowly, and I just put one more in him. And then he ran, and then he didn't death moan. But I did hear, for the next probably 30 seconds, I heard this crashing stop, and then I heard thrashing. So crashing, then thrashing, then silence.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, that's good. That's a good sign.
Yeah.
So I didn't really wait very long. Got down, found my arrow. It looked really good. I looked around, saw a blood trail that was like paint on the ground, red paint. So I was like, I'm going to go get this bear. He went about 100 yards. Both arrows hit him pretty good, but that first one, the exit on it is insane. It's just like, I was using the Whitetail Fury again from Evolution Outdoors, man. I like that for deer and bears, apparently. It's just got like this huge, huge ability to open and get you an entry and an exit. Flies like a dart. Use the X10 Parallel Pro, my favorite lighted Nox, which are?
Kosakomu.
Yeah. Amazon $288 per. That's as in $2.88 per, and they're the brightest. They have good knock fit, and they're cheap. I'm gonna order some more after this pod.
Yeah.
So we smoked that boar, and then he sends. I sent a text via iPhone 16 has that satellite feature, so I didn't have cell phone service, but you can like tap satellite and like line up your phone. And I got a text out to old Jimmy and said, "Hey, bear down," and he got there within 20 minutes. Like, he must have been in the neighborhood. And that guy is crazy. He was able to drive his four-wheeler to the bear.
Yeah.
By running over poplars and going over logs that I never would have. And he's crazy. And then he winches his four-wheeler up a tree and gets it like, he calls a four-wheeler a bike. And I'll get the bike up the tree, and then we can just put him on the back and then strap him down. I mean, this is a podcast, but basically, we spent 3 hours trying to get this bear on the back of the four-wheeler. And he was on there 3 different times, and 3 different times he fell off.
Yeah.
While being ratchet strapped down. And I was like, dang. I text Darcy. I was like, I need help, Darcy. This is not a 2-man job. And you guys showed up 3 hours later, and we'd gone 100 yards with the bear on the back. And I'm really glad you guys did, because I didn't want to ride on the back of the four-wheeler that had a grown-ass man, Jimmy, a 400-pound black bear. Where am I supposed to fit?
Through a swamp.
Through a swamp on a long. So you guys
At
came
2 in the morning.
Yeah. So that night we got back to camp at 2:30 a.m. or 3. It gets dark around 10:20, I'd say there, 10:30.
The last hint of sunlight is like 11:30. Like, you just see the last tinkle of it go away. And then as we were going out, it was pretty neat. You look up and Northern Lights are dancing right there, and
so awesome.
Pretty cool.
That was day 1.
Yeah.
It was incredible. So day 2, we kind of like put him on. Darcy had an actual winch scale, and 391.8 or something like that. So let's just say 392 for easy math. And that's by far the biggest bear I've ever killed. I was just like, okay, my trip's made. And then I had one more tag, and you had 2. You had a pretty, like, you didn't even, did you see anything the first night?
First night was nothing, like nothing at all.
That's a long ass blank sit in Canada. Were you doubting the place?
Yeah, I was worried it was going to be Alberta incident number 1, version 2. And I was, I didn't know that you had shot something, so I thought it was just another blank, and I was hoping not. But, and then, for me, day 2 is pretty similar to that as well.
So day 2, you saw a little bear at the very end.
So I saw a moose, and then at the very, very end, I saw a teeny little sow come in, and she didn't even come into the bait. She went to just the edge of their bear trails and was just watching and looking around.
Yeah, that's interesting. So the second day, Darcy said, "Hey, there's a bait pretty close to camp if you want to sit it. I think there's a pretty like a 6-foot boar that's been coming in pretty much all day." And he said, "I'm gonna go bait it. I'll let you know." And when he came back, he's like, "Dan, we had to like damn near kick the bear out of there just to bait it. Let's go get a tree stand." So he grabbed the tree stand, drives in, puts the stand up, comes back to me and is like, "The bear was in there again." So I was like, "Okay." So he drops me off. About 5 minutes after he left, that bear shows up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not in a trophy state of mind where I'm like, I got to try to top this damn near 400-pound bear. I just want to shoot a boar pretty quick because I just want to film Riley shoot his first bear. Like, that's my whole, like, so I was like, this bear's good enough for me. I studied him. He was actually paws on the barrel, so kind of standing up. I shot him like that. I never shot a bear like that. You saw the video. How long did it take from the time the arrow went through him till the time he literally was dead as a doorknob?
It was 9 seconds.
Mm-hmm. Used the hybrid, or no, I used the Whitetail Fury again. Heart shot him. Top of lungs. I'm sorry. Top of the heart, lungs. He went up the tree for 4 seconds and then fell. And
Yeah, he was trying to climb it and then just seized up basically and fell out of the tree, and he was dead probably before he even hit the ground.
Yeah, it's cool footage. You guys need to check out the film Bear Bender, episode 1. So I was pretty pumped, and then I just walked back to camp. I again don't have cell phone service. I just walked back to camp, grabbed a side by side and George, and we went and grabbed the bear, got it skinned and quartered. I don't think we weighed that bear, but I'm guessing like a 230 to 250, somewhere in there. Not like a giant.
Yeah.
But not a small bear.
Yeah.
Just a really good boar. So I'm tagged out, and it's day 3. And we go back to your same shitty stand.
Yeah.
Just a boar and sow, nothing crazy, kind of a long sit. Only saw 2 bears. At least we saw 2 bears. They were acting ruddy. And this was like day 3, and we're already seeing signs of rut.
Yeah, they seemed like like a breeding pair for sure. They just hung out there, and they were all that was on the card too. So that was 3 days of very minimal activity for what we should be expecting up there. And then, there's nothing on that camera, so we talked to Darcy and set up with a different bait for day 4.
And that's the thing about, our first day of hunting was May 17th. So I like that week a lot, because a bear like the one I shot first, he has been on that camera for weeks. No other bear but one like little guy who sneaks in there and sneaks out. He owns that bait.
Yeah.
There's no sow. There's no rut. There's no chance of him leaving. You wait a week later and go into May, a bear like that might just all of a sudden decide, I'm going to go rut, and I'm going to go from bait station to bait station, sniffing, looking for a hot sow. So if you want to pattern a big bear, I wouldn't wait till the end of May. I would try to go earlier in the month. I think that's a good tip for up there. And obviously it fluctuates year over year, but ultimately, if you got a big bear coming in, even if he hasn't daylighted yet, your best bet is to probably get him before he ruts, because then it's just all bets are off.
Yeah.
So we get to a new bait, day 4, and this bait site's been, like Darcy said, it's been swarming with bears. And I was excited because I was like, that's cool. We'll see a lot of different bears. And we got in there, and Darcy gets out to just touch up the bait, and he's like, Dan, I think there's a shooter. Like 100 yards away, maybe less. Get up in the tree. And I was like, okay, so I'm up in the tree in my tree saddle using my latitude system, and you barely got in the tree. Take it from there.
Yeah, I barely got in the tree. I was like, Darcy said, there's a big bear, I think, out there. And he left, and as he's pulling away, I'm trying to get my quiver off and get a jacket off and all that. And here comes a really handsome no-brainer walking right in. And so left the quiver on, just got ready to go, turned the cameras on, and, you said, shooter bear, and I was thinking the same thing. He's pretty handsome, and so he came straight into they had a beaver in a cage and some bones in that cage right there, and he was just chewing on those. And I think he was only in there a minute and a half. I could still hear Darcy's motor way in the distance, and he laid down. And in retrospect, I could have given him more time. He wasn't going anywhere. But he laid down, and what I thought was more broadside than it really was. And so I drew back on him. Laying down, he put his shoulder forward and opened up his whole side and put one pretty much through the middle of him. And he went running. Heard him coughing a few times about 40 yards away. But it felt like a good shot. It looked like a good shot. We eventually glassed the arrow. It looked pretty, bright red painted in the sun. But we couldn't get out of the stand. There were 5 bears that came in. As soon as the big bear was gone, these 5 bears that were circling, it was almost like sharks in the water. They just all came straight in.
It's a great description.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to get down. I knew you made a good shot. I want to just go confirm, see your bear. And a lot of outfitters will not want you, like if you shoot a bear, you need to text them and stay put.
Yeah.
And they don't want you to do your own recoveries. And I'm pretty sure that's probably how Darcy feels. But I'd kind of like had that conversation ahead of time. I was like, hey, man, if we shoot a bear and we feel like we made a good shot, we're going to get down and look at the arrow. And if we love the arrow, we're probably not going to wait for you. We're probably going to just go. And if we have any doubt, any reasonable doubt, we're going to back out and wait for help.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, when I saw that arrow with my binoculars, I was like, oh, that thing's cooked. In fact, on the video, I think I say done as soon as you shoot the bear.
Yeah.
So I watched the shot. It was a great shot. You hit him with the VPA?
Yep, VPA 3-blade, double bevel, 125 grain.
Yeah, made a really good shot. And once the bears kind of like ran after each other and kind of like cleared out after, I'd say probably 2 hours of just nonstop bear, we snuck down, went and looked at your arrow in person, and then could practically see your bear laying there 40 yards away. So pretty cool recovery. But we looked at our watches and we're like, oh, dude, we got like 2 more hours of daylight. And it probably was my idea. And I was like, hey, let's not hunt the tree stand. Let's hunt them from the ground.
Yeah.
Pretty sure you're glad we made that decision.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
That was the most fun I've had the next 2 hours.
Oh, yeah. No, it was cool. You just don't get experiences like that anywhere else. I can't think of anywhere else you'd get something like that.
We had so many boars and sows about an arm length away from us. Some people say it's dumb to do that. I never felt like, I think there was only one point where a big boar kind of came off the bait drooling, kind of walking in a dominant way towards us. And I know I said on video, I'm like, you might have to shoot him.
Yeah, and I drew back. You had pepper spray. Like we were still, I feel like being smart about it.
Kind of wish he would have kept coming because then it would have been like a 4-yard, 5-yard shot.
Yeah, frontal.
Yeah.
That'd have been pretty cool.
But no, they didn't really mind us. I don't think that would work with really old big bears. Like the one I shot first, the first bear, I don't think that would have worked. But some of these bears that are like, the bear you shot is probably a 10-year-old bear, I don't think he's ever, like, no one's hunted it for 15 years in this particular area. So how would he know what you are and that you're a threat?
Yeah.
He didn't. And so we saw so many bears that night come super close to us. At one point, you were sitting on a stump at 8.1 yards away from the bait, and we did have a bear come in that you wanted to shoot, but he comes right in and lays down and starts eating, and I told you I want you to shoot him broadside, standing up at this distance. I didn't want to do, like, I just wanted it to be the most epic footage ever. And when he finally stands up, you draw back, but he immediately takes a step behind the barrel. And honestly, looking at the footage, the ISO was turned up pretty big on the camera. It wasn't like we were losing good camera light.
No,
not
for sure.
Not hunting light, but just camera light, there's a significant difference.
Yeah.
So, but that was pretty epic, man. Your first archery bear, did it go was it everything you thought it would be and then some?
Oh yeah, no, it was awesome. It was cool. I mean, I'm not really someone who gets super amped up very easily. And my heart rate elevated for a minute, had to take a deep breath and like just set my bow down and relax for a second and then go through the whole process. But no, it was a treat. It was cool. I mean, we were close even from the stand. I think the stand was only 17 yards
Yeah.
from the bait. So even then, it was close. It wasn't a particularly difficult shot, but it was also very educational. Those black blobs are hard to aim at. I had to come out of the peep. They are hard to determine how they're quartering, whether they're quartering away, quartering to. That bear was quartering a lot more significantly than I would have guessed. And so while I did go in and hit a lung, it came out pretty far back on him. And so it was educational. Patience, I think, was something I would use more going into it. He's going to present a better opportunity than just a laying down, open up the shoulder, and I could have waited a little bit longer probably.
Yeah.
But no, it was great fun.
I think we had just an overall incredible week. You tagged out pretty early in the hunt. We at day 4. We had 3 more days to try to get you a second bear, and then you shooting a 280-pound boar. You wanted to hold out for something in the 300s.
Yeah,
and so that's what you did.
Mm-hmm.
And we just never had another good opportunity at a big shooter bear. We saw lots of bears.
Mm-hmm.
We hunted the same spot again, and also 2 different spots.
Well, yeah, we hunted 2 different spots,
and both were great. But man, we just never the cameras were showing us a really big bear that could have been potentially a 400-pounder.
Yeah.
And you saw that and you were like, that's where I want to go. And we hunted that spot.
It was actually, just from the stance of where it was a really cool spot, really beautiful area. There was a weather system moving from the south of us that I think gave us a bad wind. Otherwise, that spot would be really awesome. But we had a wind that was not necessarily going straight to the bait, but it would kind of just every once in a while.
Yeah, it was a shitty wind,
so
quite honestly.
It was just hard to work with that.
That's not a prevailing wind for them.
No.
So Darcy wouldn't set up baits like that. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's just the big old bear just probably smelled us.
Yeah.
And if you ask anybody who's bear baited and has had bears that they couldn't kill, and they pull their hair out because every time they're not there, the bear's daylighting, and every time they're there, the bear's not. It's not that hard to figure out. They smell you. They circle. They live in a world of smell. And then we wrapped things up with Darcy. We were able to kind of help those guys get their camp broke down. Like, we were the only hunters,
Mm-hmm.
and they're headed home. And we did a full podcast with Darcy, and we have an awesome announcement on that podcast. Be sure to be listening to that one.
Yep.
You're going to want to, here's your hint, you're going to want to join me and Riley in 2026 when we go back. And there's an opportunity to do that. And I will vouch for Darcy as he is legit AF.
And it's just a cool, nice guy to be around.
Yeah.
It's nice to, as we start to talk about camp number 2 as well, some comparisons, it was nice. One thing I liked about camp number 1, it was nice having the meals cooked. And then the best part about that was that, 3 points during the day, all the hunters
broke bread.
are sitting together.
Yeah.
And, we're talking about what the plans are for the day or how the day went. And that's a lot of that camaraderie that I think is very important.
Hey guys, going to interrupt this podcast real quick. Dan doesn't know it. Have you guys been hearing what's going on? There's a buzz out there right now about initial ascent, and it has to do with carrying heavy loads more comfortably. If you're tired of your back giving you all that pain, you can't recover quick, just come try one of our packs out. We got them all different sizes, from a 3K, 5K, 8K. Any size that you need, we can fit you. Check it out.
This is my pack with all my saddle stuff in it for 2025 elk season. I'm going to have the option to grab this if I think I need to get elevated, and I don't care where it's at. I'll find a tree that suits me, and I don't have to pack in a tree stand and ladder like I've done in the past. So it's super mobile, and it's going to add productivity to your elk hunts. You could find a nice pinch point. Maybe it's in a saddle, or maybe you found a wallow that's getting hammered every day. Pick out a tree, get the wind right, get elevated, punch a clock there from lunchtime till about 5 o'clock. Do that every day. You're going to up your odds. We're going to use the saddle systems quite a bit for not only whitetail, but elk and all the Western hunting that we do. Latitude Outdoors is an awesome partner of ours. Head over to their website or check out our website to learn more. I was fortunate enough to try MagView gear when they first hit the market. They make awesome digiscoping solutions. It's made here in the States, and it comes with a lifetime warranty. You do not need a ridiculous extra phone case. It is simply a small magnet that you can put on the back of your phone. The one that I have is charge through. What I use with this is the S1 and B1. S is for spotter, B is for binoculars, and they'll fit almost every model out there. So you can literally just click onto your binoculars and digiscope from your hand. Or if you have your spotter on a tripod and you want to get vertical or horizontal photo or video, it also comes with a free app to help control the lighting and which camera lens. Check out MagView Gear. Throw the discount code ELKSHAPE to save 20%. So we packed up the truck. The nice thing Darcy had in camp was a chest freezer with a generator. So he was able to freeze all our bear hides, skulls, and meat. So we jammed down to Saskatchewan. And by Saskatchewan, I mean the border of Manitoba and Saskatchewan. So literally, we left on a Saturday and we didn't get to bear camp till Sunday around 11 a.m.
Yeah, I mean, all around in the entire trip, not including the driving just for the hunting day to day, we did about 45 hours of driving through this trip just to
About
get
3,000 miles on my truck.
Yeah.
So much driving.
Covered a lot of country.
A lot of country. So we roll into Eastern Sky Guiding. We had made prior arrangements with them. I put a deposit down on a hunt. I wanted to hunt with Iron Will Bill Vanderhayden, who owns Iron Will Outfitters, good friend of mine. He's been killing a couple of he killed a 480-pound bear last year there, and he's killed other bears that are over 4. And I had booked this hunt originally, so I put my deposit down, and then I just got the gumption to ask the outfitter if he'd be willing to do a YouTube giveaway. And he said absolutely. And that's when we did the no paywall giveaway on the YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm surprised people don't get as excited about that. I mean, some people did, but like, dude, I see giveaways on social media all the time, and it's always like, for every $1 you spend or for every $10 you spend,
it's a point.
it's
or something,
a name in the hat. And I was like, beep this out. Fuck that. I want to do straight up, no paywall, except you have to be a subscriber to the channel. Like, I want to make sure I'm giving back to a subscriber, somebody part of our community. And so it felt damn good to do that with like a breath of fresh air. And also to award them with a backpack from Initial Ascent, a brand new spanking sharp knife from Montana Knife.
Yep.
The whole MagView set, a little gift package from Black Ovis, and some money for Born Primitive Outdoor, like a gift card, and all this just cool stuff, like prizes and all. So we decided to do the giveaway, and I told you, like, you're in charge of doing the random draws and getting 5 names in a hat, and we'll draw live on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And that was our first time going live here at the studio, like streaming YouTube with Starlink.
It was
mediocre.
The audio was really good.
The audio was great. You did a good job, but I just don't have, out here at ELKSHAPE HQ, we don't have cable internet. We have Starlink. So it's just like, meh.
Yeah.
Anyways, we announced, we drew a name out of the hat, and I recognized the name after the fact, but it was a guy named Cody Sabol.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never met this guy. He lives in like North Carolina, and he's a dentist.
Mm-hmm.
Not married, has a girlfriend or fiance, no kids, and is a diehard elk hunter from North Carolina.
Yeah.
So we got a hold of him, let him know he was the winner, and he decides to drive from North Carolina.
Oh yeah, he put our bear bender mileage to shame. I mean,
30 hours one way.
Yeah, he drove more than even we did.
Yeah, it took him days to get there. But you know what? That's cool. I think it's great. And you know, Iron Will Bill hooked him up with his little Iron Will arrow with Victory, like the TKO,
Yeah.
and his 2.5 veins and some single bevel wides and all sorts of stuff. So Cody was pumped, and I was looking forward to meeting him. And so we roll up to Eastern Sky Guiding. It's Rich, Marla. What's her last name? Gears?
Duress. Mm-hmm.
Great people. Super laid back. Their operation was completely different than where we just came from.
Oh yeah.
We were in the muskeg timber where no humans live. There's no agriculture. There's no towns. We are now in eastern Saskatchewan where it is nothing but agriculture and a sliver of mountains that are more like hills that are just basically poplar, quakey, aspens
Yeah.
patches.
No, it's we went from what I would say is like a pretty backcountry hunt, wall tents, all that, to more of like a front country. We were in cabins, more lodge style type thing.
Yep.
So it was different.
Yeah.
But that being said, both of them had huge bears. And then this second place we went to, the one downside is that there's a long drive to the baits. It's in the Duck Mountain Range is what they're called. But yeah, by mountains, it's like a 700-foot hill maybe.
Never saw a hill.
Yeah, they tried to point out the mountains to me, but I wasn't sure what they were looking at, maybe a cell tower or something.
But that's why those bears are so big, man. Like they have grains, beans, corn, oats, alfalfa, grass, beavers, water, and bear bait to eat. Like
and no caloric, they don't have any cost for living. They don't have anything
low
to
cost of
climb,
living.
and they can live in such a small patch of area with all of those things.
Yeah, they just get big and old. I think their average bear age is like something like 15 years or older.
Mm-hmm.
They have big skulls in this area as well. They're known for their skull size. If you look at like the record book entries and stuff, and then Bill was telling me like I killed a 480 pound. Like I just shot a 392, and I it's hard for me to imagine a bear that's north of that. But
Yeah.
I was like, okay. And then Marla is a trail camologist. She like pulls every card and knows every bear, and they have several bears that they've been hunting for years that no one's got, like just no one's ran into yet.
Mm-hmm.
And she names them. And so we have like Hugo, Ozzy, ZZ, Captain.
There was one more.
Axel.
Yeah, Axel. I know there's one more. I can't think of
Well,
it.
if you
But
think of it, let me
anyways,
know. But like, and all these bears are so big, and so she's just like telling us, like, hey, guys, like if the barrel doesn't look small, if the back isn't way over the barrel when they're on all fours, like, don't even think twice. Don't shoot that bear. And I was like, copy that. And I will say this. I thought before I started bear hunting in 08 that baiting bears was lame.
mm-hmm.
I thought it was like you just sit there and then just shoot a bear. You don't break a sweat. It's like it's not really rewarding hunting. And then I did an outfitted bear hunt in 08. Kind of learned the ins and outs of it. And then my dad and I started bear baiting in 2009. We bear baited for the next couple of years. And then I took a break for about 5-6 years and just went to spot and stock. And then just wasn't till like 2021 I started baiting again. Did that for a season, and I said, screw this. This is too much work.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't have the time to drive up to the mountains, drive in, fill up a barrel, and then have it be empty 3 days later. Like, I don't have time for this.
Baiting's
Like,
hard work.
it costs too much time, and time is money. So the other thing about bear baiting is that when people watch the second episode of our bear bender video, I don't want to give it away. We're going to have some pop quizzes, and I think everyone's going to be wrong. I really had to study bears for quite a while at this particular location because their sows were so big. It was hard to decipher between a boar and a sow there. It was not hard for me in Alberta. I could see a triangle face, ears kind of more on top, skinnier wrists and ankles, kind of a pear shape. It's a sow. In Saskatchewan, when you're looking at a 350-pound sow and her cubs aren't there because they're sleeping, dude, that's why you bait.
Yeah.
It's because you are trying to selectively harvest the oldest, most mature boar.
Mm-hmm.
Any sow like that a guy sees in the woods for a split second, an opportunity, they're going to shoot it.
She's huge. Yeah.
So big. And it's like no exaggeration, 350 plus sow. And she looks pretty jacked, but she's got 4 cubs the size of footballs. And
Mhm.
sometimes she puts them up the tree, as we hunted later on the week with Cody, that those little football-sized Nerf, those little football-sized cubs would go up a tree. She'd get them way up the tree on purpose so that she could come and eat.
Mhm.
And if you just shot the first thing and didn't really size her up or recognize her, you'd be shooting a 350-pound sow. And then what's going to happen to those 4 cubs?
Yeah.
They're cooked.
Yep.
The other giant sow that we saw, she had a really black face. She was bigger than that one. Like,
Mhm.
just a scary big. And she had 2-year-old cubs, and they were together most of the time, and she never kicked them out while we were there.
Right.
And we're just waiting for her to kick them out, guys. So, like, that second-year cub cycle. So cubs are born somewhere around February in the den.
Mhm.
And then they're with their mom for that whole year. They go into hibernation. And then they come out of hibernation and they hang out till about the end of May. And then the mom will kick them out. Like, she'll be mean and say, "You're on your own." And then because she's going into heat.
Yeah.
And then there are boars that find these sows with 1-year cubs that just were born in February, and they will try to kill them so that the mom goes into heat.
Right.
And it's well documented. I'm not
Yeah.
making this up. So that's the number one predator for bears is bears.
Yeah.
So baiting was really eye-opening to like study anatomy. And then quite honestly, some of the bears when we were hunting with Cody, like I just literally told him don't shoot yet until I see his balls.
Mhm.
Like he's going to bend over or do some stand all the way up and I'm going to be able to, like, I need to double check.
Yeah.
That's a boar. And I was fooled a couple of times.
Oh yeah. Some of the sows there just they're so jacked. It's hard to determine if their forearms are skinny. It's hard to see. I mean, you just don't expect to see a sow of such mass, and then it's not something good to be surprised with. But no, yeah, bears are one of the only. I think there's only 20 types of animals out there who utilize infanticide, and so yeah, they'll kill little cubs. I guess when a sow stops lactating or breastfeeding, that's when she can go into heat again.
Yeah.
So if they kill those cubs, then that sow can go into heat again. And then the other thing is boars will kill other cubs just for the sake of keeping their genetic line intact. So I think it's like them and hippos are the 2 animals that they'll kill other cubs just in general because they want their genetic line to keep going forward, not another boar's.
I found 2 dead cubs in my, almost 20-year bear hunting career, just that have been most likely killed by a boar. They're not consumed. They're just killed. And it's sad. So bear baiting, like it, don't understand it, try it. It is very ethical because bears are so hard to determine their sex, their age, their
And if they have
characters,
cubs.
and if they have cubs. And quite honestly, those cubs aren't always with them, even at the bait sites.
Even for longer periods of times. I mean, she would come in for 30 minutes or more without her cubs.
Yeah, without the trail camera, we wouldn't have known.
Yeah, and if you look way out in the distance, you can see these little black dots way up in a tree, and that's her cubs, a ways away.
Yeah, nobody wants to shoot that. But I guess we'll just finish with Eastern Sky Guiding. Rich is a great dude. Marla is awesome. Salt of the earth people. Bill Vanderhayden has been coming, I think, 7 or 8 years. So, like, they're all, like, best friends. And we were sharing camp with, like, 4 other dudes that I didn't know. They were, like, rifle hunters from Wisconsin and Iowa. Great guys. And Bill and Marty Smith, his videographer, love Marty. We're all sharing camp together. And this camp is kind of it's not cheap, but I think it's affordable, if that makes sense. And it's pretty affordable because you are staying in like cabins near their house. But all your food prep is on your own. Like there's you do your dishes. There's no dishwasher. There's running water. There's stovetop. There's a barbecue. But you had to buy all your own food and make your own food. So for us, we pretty much tried to eat like a big cooked meal before we went out. We left at 2 every day. It was a 90-minute drive one way just to get to the stands, and then 90-minute drive after dark. So 3 hours a day in the truck. That was pretty painful. Not gonna lie, not my favorite part. We talked to them about that. They might make some changes, but the reality is that I don't know of any other place that has this big of bears. The end. Like I'm not talking just bodies, but skulls as well. So
Mhm.
my first night out, so I've sat one day in Alberta, shot a 392. The second day, I shot a 6-foot boar. And then day 3, I filmed you. Day 4, I filmed you kill.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the week kind of just messed around. First sit, you're filming Cody Sabol.
Mhm.
Marty's filming Iron Will Bill, and I'm self-filming in a stand. And I had several bears come in that night, and Marla kind of gave us a pretty like serious speech, like, I don't want you shooting any color phases except for Axel.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I don't want to screw that up. We had 2 hunters last week shoot 2 color phase sows they thought were boars. Please don't shoot any sows. Like, these are the moms to our babies. You know, like, these are, like, we only want shooting mature boars. So
Yeah.
I was kind of like, honestly, Riley, I was like a little nervous. I was like, shoot, I'm going to really, even if it costs me a shot, I'm going to make damn sure that it's the right bear tonight.
Mhm.
Like, and so I'm sitting there and I had probably, a small sow come in first. She was already kind of rubbed on her sides like she'd been, bred. And then I had a 2-year-old cub boar. I could tell he was a boar. 2-year-old boar cub come in. He had lots of attitude. Good for him, but he had just been kicked out by some mom somewhere. And then I had another small boar come in, and that was it. It was like getting like kind of towards the end of the sit. And then I had this really big sow, and she was kind of had the ugliest face you ever seen in your life. And she comes straddling in, and I was like, that is a giant sow. And the reason why I knew is she came straight on, and I saw her triangle face.
Mhm.
I was like, that is not a boar, but she's big. And then to my right, her boyfriend comes rolling in with her. And I shit you not, the second I laid eyes on him, I about fell out of the tree.
Yeah.
I've never, ever seen a bear that big in real life.
Yeah.
And I had just shot a 392. And when he walked in, I pulled back right away, and he just rolls right past me to the barrel and lays down with no shot opportunity and starts digging. And so he's laying there for 10 minutes pulling food out, and I cannot get a shot the way he's positioned. If you watch the video, you'll see me let down the first time after about 30-second hold, and you'll see me start shaking. And I'm like, that's from excitement and
Yeah.
like buck fever. And I literally sit down because I'm worried I'm going to rattle the tree stand. My legs are shaking. I mean, he's just a mega giant. Like,
Mhm.
he's a comic book bear, like not real. His face, just everything about him was just blowing me away. So then I finally like can tell he's getting close to being done eating. He's going to go mess with the sow. And so I stand back up, and I'm shaking again, and I just sit right back down. So that's twice now. I've sat down just because of shaking. And
Mhm.
finally he stops feeding, and he walks towards the sow to like, I don't know what, like sniffer or something. And I pull back, and my elbow pops when I pull back. Have you heard that before?
Oh yeah.
And he hears it, and he stops, and he's like kind of quartering to, not a good shot, but he's also 10 yards from me, not 20, 10. And I'm at full draw forever. And then the sow looks at him, kind of sees his body language, like something's up, and she's like starts scooting out of here. And then he just kind of slowly like rotates to follow her. And my pin was settled. And as soon as he gave me like this crazy quartering away shot, I aimed for his exit, which was out the front of the chest, and let it rip. And that iron will wide went through him like butter. And it goes, whoo, and he goes running, just jiggling everything like into the bush. And I sit down, and I'm like,
Right.
this is not a whitetail, Dan. What is wrong with you? And I'm just like, that is the biggest bear I've ever seen in my life. That is a no doubter. That has got to be like Hugo, Captain, ZZ. That's got to be one of those 500-pound bears they were talking about they
Mhm.
had, which I've never even. So the reason why I brought 2 bows on this hunt was my Lift X is my elk rig
Mhm.
using the Solix clicker.
Right.
And I'm going to use iron will, single bevel, standard size. Those fly well, or hides, evolution hides for elk. Well, I'm going hunting with Bill, and he knows we're filming. He asked me to use an iron will wide on the bear, which I have no problem doing. So I grabbed the iron will wide 150s out of my stash. They're solid. They're not vented. They're quiet. I think those vented ones are
A little noisier. Yeah.
a lot noisier.
Yeah.
To be honest, I told Bill that. I like the wides, the solids. And I didn't, so I kind of built my original lift set up for that at home, and I had it set with my Too Simple thumb barrel.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I use the thumb barrel with that bow, because it's just what I use for that. I don't need to switch back and forth, because typically when I use an index, I have to move my peep up even higher.
Right.
And so this one was set with the thumb barrel. So use the thumb button, use an iron wheel wide on an Easton 5.0. It went in the back rib and came out in the front of his chest, hitting the top of the heart, getting both lungs, and the bear went 40 yards and tumbled in there. I got down, looked at my arrow, and then I text Marla right away. It's like, hey, Marla, I shot a bear. So she shows up with her four-wheeler and sled. She helps me blood trail with her daughter, McKenna.
Mm-hmm.
So McKenna, Marla, and McKenna's like a 21-year-old pilot bear guide. You guys should meet. And so she helps me blood trail my bear into the bush. We find it, and then Marla like bushwhacks this thing just like Jimmy did through the crappiest of crap. There's no way. I'm thinking there's no way her and I can even flip this bear onto the sled.
Yeah.
But we did. I don't know how we did it.
Jeez.
It took 3 tries. We got it on the back of the sled, and then we actually had to use the winch to get the bear out a couple different times. But we drug the bear out, and then everybody found out that I shot this bear, and so everybody came to the truck before we even left for camp, base camp, to see the bear. And then when we got home, they got a giant tractor with a scale on it, so they lifted that bear up, and it was like the new camp record, 491.8. So we'll just say 492, exactly 100 pounds bigger than the one I just shot in Alberta, but not 500.
Right.
And they have 500-pound bears.
Yeah. The biggest I think the family has ever shot, they said, was 5'10".
Yeah.
Which is insane to me.
It is insane. It doesn't make sense. While we were editing today, I started working on the skulls. Just, I had the 492 beetled.
Yeah.
And then I'm just power washing and soaking it in, what's that stuff?
Camp stove fuel. I think it's like butane.
Butane,
basically.
kerosene, something to just pull the oils out of the skull.
Yeah.
You don't want to boil a Boone and Crockett skull, because
Right.
it's going to shrink it a little. Not that I'm going to get this thing entered into the books, but if I did, it green scored 21 3/8 back at camp, which
Crazy.
is like, it'll probably still dry over 21, which will make all-time book.
Mm-hmm.
And I was telling you that the 392 bear, I just did his skull, and I'm comparing the skulls. It's like Papa Bear and Baby Bear. That's how big this bear's skull is.
Wow.
It looks like a grizzly bear skull. 21 inch. And I think the world record's like 22 something. So
yeah, I mean, once you get up into the above 480 and you get above 21, you're not very far off of some of the biggest bears in the world.
yeah, and I think they have some of the biggest bears in the world here.
Yeah, they're pretty well known for it.
So I think they got a lot of good things going for them. Like, they have a family operated business, and their family is like pure class. I
Mhm.
love everybody I met from their family. Carly, McKenna, Marla, the dad Rich, like, great people. The drive sucks. They're gonna
Mhm.
do something about that. I don't love cooking all the food for myself, but I didn't mind, to be honest with you. It didn't bother me. We all split cooking duties, but the potential to shoot a bear that big does not exist very many places on this earth.
Yeah.
They only give out 1 tag. You can't do 2 tags like Alberta, so you're kind of gonna have to go and hold out. Now, some of the guys in camp saw my bear night 1 and probably got their hopes up, right?
Yeah.
And I know for a fact some of them didn't get bears that week. Like, they just never ran into a bear that they were looking for. So it's not like there's 300+ pound bears. There's not a dime a dozen, but there is at least a couple around per bait station. How many stations did they have out?
I don't know. I want to say it was around 12 or something like that. I thought
It might be a few more than that.
more.
Yeah, but still not more than 15.
Yeah, I mean, they had a good amount.
They have a limited amount of tags too.
You're
Like,
right.
they only do 3 weeks of bear hunting and 4 or 5 guys a camp. So I think they only have 15 bear tags a year.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe have a couple more than that, but if it is, it's maybe 18. So it's very limited. It's high quality. and it's kind of like high-end boar hunting, if you will. So if you've never killed a bear before, maybe go with our boy Darcy in Alberta and get yourself 2 bears. But if you've killed lots of bears like I have and you want to like hunt specifically a mega giant,
Yeah, target a huge bear.
this would be your best opportunity, is what I would say.
Both places you're going to have interactions with bears that are bigger than what you can find in most anywhere in the States.
Agreed.
Both places you're going to see lots of bears every day. And both places are really great people.
Like the best. Because they're Canadian. They're just nice.
Yeah.
Seriously, yeah. So Cody, great dude. Let's talk about Cody. We kind of finished the pod. So Iron Will Bill, I don't want to spoil his hunt. He had a good hunt. He was there. I don't think he found what he was looking for. He's a very patient, and I think he's also trying to top 480.
Mm-hmm.
So there's only a few bears there that could do that. So I think he might be coming back next year. But Cody had never killed a bear in his life. He's killed an elk with a bow. He's a avid deer hunter, elk hunter from North Carolina. Good dude, fit dude, positive dude. Just honestly, we've just been so fortunate to hang out with our community. Like I would say Cody's just top shelf dude.
Oh yeah, for sure. And so yeah, we filmed with him. I mean, once you were tagged out, you and I both filmed with him for the next few days. Our cutoff date where we had to be home was what would have been his second to last day of hunting. We almost got it done, saw a few bears that were just right at that line, or we couldn't quite determine if they were sows or boars. They didn't come all the way in. And so we didn't end up tagging out when we were there with him. You and I head home, and on the drive home, we get the text from Cody that he got a really handsome bear down and sent some photos. And last day he got it done, and it's a nice bear.
I'm so pumped for him, and he made a great shot. He used an iron will wide, solid 150. He said the bear shot it, went up a tree, fell to dead before it hit the ground. And he was with Carly. Check out my Instagram. There's a little clip of her singing at camp. She's got a great voice. She's really talented, and all of Rich's daughters have killed deer that I would dream to kill. Like they're all like 170 plus whitetail killers.
Yeah.
And they're all diehard hunters or huntresses.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, well, good recap. Bear Bender probably won't do that again, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
That was too much of a good thing for me. Gone too long. Pretty much getting served divorce papers. Just need to I'm joking, but seriously, it's just hard on your family when you're gone. I got little ones. It's just tough to be gone that long. But I would do one next year for sure. Probably some Idaho spot and stock, and then backfill with a week-long trip maybe to Alberta. Kill 2 bears up there and just reconnect with those guys. So be sure to check out the pod with Darcy. We have an announcement there. I think that's going to be something y'all going to want to take advantage of, and it'll be a cool opportunity. We might be able to hunt together, hint, hint. And then my dad, does my dad listen to this pod, you think? He watches it on YouTube.
Yeah, he'll watch it.
Rodman, you got more money than you do time. Dust that checkbook off. Get a hunt booked with me and Riley next year in Alberta. It is a hunt made for you. You can sit around all day and tell all your stories, and then you can go shoot monster bears at night and drink lots of coffee, eat good food, have a toddy or two at the campfire. This hunt's made for my dad.
Oh, yeah.
So do you think my dad should go next year?
I know he should go.
Okay. So you need to talk to the camera and tell Grandpa what's up.
Papa Rod, I want to see you at camp with us next year, so lock in.
And that means, Riley, I need you to lock in and fly us there. I do not want to drive 1,000 miles.
We will fly. We're
going to fly in. You heard it here first. Be sure to watch the Bear Bender videos on YouTube. We bust our ass to make pretty good films. These are probably more like films than videos, guys. So check them out. Separation is in the preparation. Catch you on the next one.